Gentlemen, Adonis here, joined by Scott Gandhi for the CB3 patch notes of SMITE Tactics. We're finally releasing the Chinese Pantheon, so it's going to be the fourth Pantheon into Tactics.
Yep.
How much work has gone into this one? Because it's been a while since we've seen a new Pantheon.
Yeah, this is actually since the game has been out in closed alpha, this is the first Pantheon we've ever added in there, and there's been, a lot. So how we kind of looked at it is we really wanted to send as many cards out as possible inside of this patch, so we backfilled as much as we could in previous patches to really just kind of accommodate for that fact. So we'll have 20 brand new cards to go through, and they're pretty sweet.
Lots of stuff. Also, for those of you guys watching at home, Tactics still is in closed beta for now.
Yep.
The Tactics Twitter does give out a lot of codes, but you can also buy in to the Tactics beta with the Founders Pack. You get 15 card packs, the legendary, the legendary god Inyo. You get all the other leaders, Poseidon, Isis, Freya, limited Founders icon, and card back, along with a couple nice little things in SMITE too, including the Inyo skin for Bologna. So if you do want to try out Tactics and you haven't got a beta key just yet, you can get access to the game with the Founders Pack. But let's get straight into CB3 and all the exciting stuff we have for you.
What's up first?
First
Hit
off,
me with it.
we're going to talk about some of the new features. So we have revamped the tutorials. Tutorials have been in for a while now. Now these are going to be a little bit more story-driven, actually, and I think we are going to play through the first one just to give you kind of a look overview. So these have all been revamped. You're going to go straight in, and these are actually story-driven, but kind of based off the SMITE comics that have been out.
Yeah, so we can kind of show it here for just a second. Now we'll lay out here.
Wake up.
And so you can see it's just gonna you're gonna have audio. It's gonna be fully voice acted, and this is just really just aimed to teach tactics to players in kind of a fun and new way. Just teach you all the basics.
Yeah. So the big thing here is when we kind of looked at our previous iteration of the tutorial, it was a little lackluster in the sense of that, we kind of held the hands a little bit too much. And for this, we were like, we made these 3-part comic book series. Why don't we pick up at the very end? We skip a little bit in there. We skip a little bit of the story, but we picked up kind of where it left off. And now this is all about Zeus kind of regaining his power and kind of coming back there to try to reclaim what has happened here and restore order. Because as everyone knows, Ares is controlling Egypt and Anubis is all pissed off and everything's just kind of in turmoil.
It's almost like we already have stories to go based off of.
Yes, we actually have some there. So, the tutorial for us, this was, this is the first time as a studio we've ever really done anything like this. So we're very interested to see how it does. But really, for all of us, I think everyone's always wanted a SMITE story mode, and getting just a little taste of it's awesome.
It's a little bit. So maybe more of that to come in the future, possibly as well.
I hope so.
But that's for the future. CB3 will also introduce ranked queue. So those of you guys who've been playing since early closed alpha and want something to kind of show off how good you are, you can see right there. That's going to be the new queue coming out with this patch. You can see this one has already qualified, but it's going to be, I believe, 10 qualifying games to start.
So how ranked is going to work here is when you log in, when this patch goes live, you will have 10 qualifying matches, and after you complete those 10 qualifying matches, you will get your rating right there in front of you, and you'll always see the number. Now, the numbers always correlate with the tier, and you'll be able to see what the tiers are right on the queue screen. So it's bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and masters. So getting all of those, you'll get placed in there. Now, we're not sure how the seasons are going to work and how we're going to do that. This is just our first kind of a pass of it, but I've always been a big proponent of changing or resetting every single season. So you can probably expect that.
And I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but you will have a hard MMR number, which you'll also be able to see your opponent's MMR as well. So you're going to know straight in, is this guy rated higher than me or lower, and kind of gauge what you want to do off of that.
So in the bottom left, right next to the player names, and top left, when you're going to get your opponent, you'll see your number and you'll see their number. Now, this does not work in the normal casual mode. This only works inside of ranked. So in casual, you're still not going to know what the rank is, but inside of ranked, you will know. So when you beat someone who's above you, you're going to get a lot of points. When you beat someone below you, you're going to gain less points.
Get a few. Same as any normal ranked queue system goes.
Correct.
In addition, most of the maps do have environmental tiles. The only map that does not have environmental tiles currently is the Egyptian map, but that's going to see a change here with a unique kind of environmental tile style. This isn't just things that sit there on the map anymore.
Yes. So with the Egyptian map, the big thing for me was, I was always looking at it, I was like, I want to destroy something. And early on, everyone was like, they thought I was was joking. They were like, oh, you want to destroy something. It's whatever. So I actually fought for it the entire time. And so what it is there's 2 ceremonial urns inside of the Egyptian map that you're going to see right here. And each of these urns, when you destroy them, they can actually give you one of 3 cards. So there is a +1 attack card. It's called the Urn of Attack. And this card does not work on leaders, but you get +1 permanent attack. You have a Urn of Health. And the Urn of Health can be used on your leaders, and it gives you +2 health. So it'll actually overcap you. So if Zeus were to get it here, he would be a 120. And the final one is a +1 mana potion. So, you know, the whole point of these urns is that you can kind of strategically use them early on, but they also get hit by abilities. So that's going to change everything there as well. So, you know, for those of you guys who like running Norse, Sol is fantastic on this map. She's able to clear both of them out with a single ability use and really turn the tide.
And they do have 2 health, correct?
Correct. They have 2 health. You can see it right there on the...
Yeah, so whoever destroys it will get one of those 3 cards randomly.
Yes.
In addition to the Egyptian environmental tiles, we do have new anti-aliasing options, especially for those with a little bit you know, lower-end machines. Should, you know, kind of smoothen up. Those can be found inside the settings menu.
Yeah, it's just really to make it look a little bit better.
And then also, we've added an audio cue near the end of your turn. So I believe with 15 seconds left.
This is so nice.
Yes, trust me,
really nice.
I find it nice as well.
Yeah, Adonis actually came to me and he goes, hey, when are you going to put this in there? I was like, that's a really good idea. We'll totally do it. So credit where credit's due, my man.
I'm pretty sure my turn ended on once, like right before I was about to win the game, and I had like not noticed my turn was about to end. So now you're going to have some indication to make sure to do stuff.
It changes the tempo of the music and also it flashes.
Going on here, we also have some updates to the health bars again. So I know
this is big.
We've been kind of messing with the UI and the HUD and trying to find elements. We did the pass on the cards and the mana in the bottom right, and same with the in-turn button. Now, in-game, you're going to have, you know, more readability on the health bars, along with some action indicators here, where it's just going to be able to, you're going to be able to quickly scan the board and see how many actions a unit has left.
Yeah, so there was a couple things that we wanted to do here. And the first thing that you'll notice is that there's a slight team coloring on the outside of the health and the health bars themselves. And this is really just because a lot of people actually had a difficult time telling which team, what each units were on. So we were like, okay, we need to reinforce this. But the most important thing here is those 2 white pips that you're seeing next to the 18. These are your action indicators. So this lets you know how many actions your unit has left. So if we could move Ra forward here, you'll see that he's going to lose 1. So now if you right-click off of him and you want to go ahead and spawn on her and you're not sure what all you have left, you know that at a quick glance, okay, he's got 1 thing left, he can still attack.
And also, you can see on her and Bastet, who are spawned in, who are currently exhausted. They can't do anything the turn they're played. They have 0 action indicators. And then once Ra attacks Zeus here, the final one should go away. And those are the new health bars and action indicators. I actually really do love the new health bars. I find it much easier to view.
The big thing about it was all about visibility and making everything easier for the user. So giving them a way to quickly glance at the board and say, okay, you know what? I haven't moved this guy. I have 2 actions on him. I can do something. That's really, really important. And, you know, habitually in this game, a lot of people move a bunch of units at once, and then they kind of reassess their situation, right? Like, you know, when you play Bastet and you spawn out 3 cats and you move them there, you want to make sure that you attack with them as well.
And then also we had adjustments to unit circles as well. You saw, I believe, on that screen just a little bit more readability for those.
It's
kind of hard to see at first.
More subtle. Before it was like we just drew it with a crayon. Now it's like, you know, we did it with a fine pencil.
On top of that, we actually do have new adjustments to the friends list, we've added a friend removal confirmation message, so when you're tired of seeing Scott Gandhi online, now you get confirmation that won't happen.
The big thing here was that, you know, when we put it in, it was kind of an oversight that you just click on the friend removal and it instantly removes them, and I was like, huh. That's not intent.
You know, sometimes you get tired of seeing you playing.
But a lot of times, you know, there wasn't a mouse over on there that
true.
said read friend or remove friend, so it just helps the user a little bit.
And then new soundtracks have actually been added to every map, so each map is going to have their own unique soundtrack. I know some of them,
they're so good.
You're going to recognize them, but hopefully adds a little bit more, you know, kind of emphasis and kind of draws you into the map a little bit more.
Yes. So, you know, our previous iteration of the music, well, it wasn't exactly like you were on an adventure. It was kind of just, you know, background music that it was just kind of there. It really gets you into the game, and this is our first pass of this as well, so we're going to be continuing to make improvements on this music theme as well. But the big thing there is that we want people to be pumped up when you're playing. I mean, you're in a 1v1 heated duel, right, where you can only blame yourself or RNG.
Or you can always blame RNG.
You can always
trust
blame
me.
that, yeah. I know you do it all the time.
I'm unlucky, okay, Scott? I'm unlucky. There's also numerous bug fixes. I'm not going to run through all of them with you right now. There's a long list. You're going to be able to find it on the SMITE Tactics website afterwards. The only one I do want to mention is that there has been a lot of fixes with Phantom Grasp. For example, when you Phantom Grasp a Fire Giant, that buff now goes away and also gives it to your own team. So I think that was a big one the community was asking for.
I really want to thank I want to take this time to actually thank the community as well as Kelter, who has been a part of this.
Yes.
They actually put together a full list of issues for us that we were able to run down. I think it was like 50 issues or something.
It was a lot.
There was a lot in there, but the big thing is we want to thank each and every one of you for contributing.
So let's get into the fun stuff now. We do have a big content patch this release.
Chinese time?
I think it's the Chinese Pantheon time. You already mentioned it, but 20 new cards coming into the Chinese Pantheon. In addition to kind of a lot of exciting new things here, we actually have a new campaign for Chinese. We're going to be able to get in game and kind of just see it visually real quick. This is going to be the same as all the other campaigns that we revamped last patch. So if you complete them all, you'll get a total of 300 favor, 100 for each. And if you complete the third mission, you get the rare card Imperial Archer, which we'll go over him a little bit later.
So right here, the main thing that everyone should be looking at is what you're seeing at the top. That's kind of a taste of what the legendary card actually looks like there. And Leah, our 2D artist on the team, did an absolutely stellar job with this artwork, and we're super excited for it. But, the campaigns are very similar to all the other ones that you see. It's a little bit of a puzzle. And you kind of just get more acquainted with the units. And that's kind of the big thing, right? Because this is the first time we've introduced a new Pantheon that has 2 brand new keywords. So teaching them in a way that's just very nice and streamlined is always better.
And we also have a new daily quest, of course, for those of you who've been playing. It'll just be, I believe it's just literally called Chinese Conquest. Just win 2 games playing as a Chinese Pantheon. That's going to be a daily quest that'll be in the rotation here in the next patch. And then you mentioned it already, but we have a couple new keywords coming into this patch. We'll go a little bit more detail and kind of show you in-game later on. But the first one we have is actually Colossal. So do you want to kind of go over what Colossal does?
Yeah, so I guess we can really start by bringing this back by just a little bit here. So the Chinese Pantheon, when we looked at it, there was kind of 2 themes that we wanted to hit. Colossal being one, and the other one being command. Now, Colossal came from the story of how the world was created inside of the Chinese Pantheon, which was Pangu, which I'm assuming there's a different way of saying it, but that's
how Scott Gandhi's going to say it.
It's just like Hebo, right?
Yeah, Habwa.
Yeah, it's Habwa.
But it is Habwa.
Regardless, he pushed
Habwa.
the earth and the heavens away, and that's how the world was created. Now, during that, he grew 10 feet every single day from that point on to accommodate for that. So when we looked at it, we were like, okay, well, these units have to get bigger. And so what Colossal says is that at the start of your turn, you triggers your bonus offense, or your bonus effects. And so what you'll see a lot of is, Colossal +1/+1 or Colossal +0/+2. And these units can really just kind of spiral out of control if you don't maintain them.
And then we also have the command, the command ability as well. Why don't you explain how that works?
Yeah, so command was based all around Guan Yu, who is the second leader, but he is not in this patch. He will be coming into the next patch. There's a quick spoiler. For you. And so really, when you looked at it, he was a tactician, right? And so for command, what that says is anytime you play an item, it's going to trigger an effect. So it's similar to Divinity, but it's based solely on items.
Okay, and then let's actually just talk about the leader straight away here.
Yeah.
So the first leader that's going to be coming and also completely free to all users of SMITE Tactics is Nu Wa.
Yep. So Nu Wa, when I tweeted this out, I was like, okay, what do you guys think Nu Wa's leader ability is going to be? Everyone was like, oh, she spawns a 1/1 clay soldier. Nope. Not the case. Not what's going to happen. So
that's too boring.
Yeah. So what Nu Wa is going to do, and it really ties into Colossal here, is Nu Wa, she's a little bit levitated right now, but so for 2 mana, she can stealth friendlies in a target area until the start of your next turn. So what this is saying is that she can provide temporary stealth, just like the grass, for her units. So if you're playing units that need to grow a little bit bigger and you're playing them very safe,
like say Colossal cards.
So when you're Nu Wa and you spawn your units behind you, if you don't want them being picked apart by range, you spawn the cloud. And it's actually extremely exciting. We've had a lot of battles where Nu Wa just gets low herself and she just stealth clouds herself and it protects her.
And also Nu Wa can she can target herself as well.
Correct.
So for those of you who are going to wonder about that, now we're going to be running through a lot of these cards in the inspect screen, just kind of give you a look at them, and then we'll kind of spawn them in game after and show kind of how they work out.
It's time.
So let's go through first the Chinese minions. So we actually have a set of 3 Imperial minions, and these are going to be the cards with the command command passive here. So first up is Imperial Archer. This is a rare 3 mana, 2/3 ranged, and his command is to deal 1 damage to a random enemy.
Yeah, so Imperial Archer, this is a card that is going to synergize extremely well with a lot of items, just because he has command, right? The big thing here with this card is that you want to play him defensively, and you want to utilize his passive as much as humanly possible. You want to get the free random damage onto your enemies.
And then next up is the Imperial Guard. The Imperial Guard is actually a common. This is a 3 mana, 3/3, and the command is gain +1/+0 and pardon until the end of your turn.
This guy's been a lot of fun, and we went through a couple of iterations with him. We tried him being at a little bit of a higher cost, and it wasn't really fitting their mana curve well. It didn't synergize at all with the deck. So when we looked at him, we said, okay, you know what? Let's bring him down to 3 mana, and let's make him a 3/3, and let's give him pardon as well. So you're actually going to be rewarded for playing items on top of the fact that you're getting pardon and you're getting +1 damage. So if you don't control this guy, you're going to get in a lot of trouble.
And then the final Imperial minion in the set is going to be Imperial Soldier. This is a free card, 2 mana, 2/2, command, gain 1 movement and 1 attack. And command can stack, correct?
Yes. Now, the important thing here with the Imperial Soldier, and something we didn't touch on at the beginning here, is one, really quickly, everyone who plays the game is going to get the free set of Chinese cards immediately just by logging in. But the Imperial Soldier, this is permanent. So when you play an item, he's going to gain +1 movement and +1 attack permanently. So if you go second and you play the Imperial Soldier and then you sunder one of his units, he's got 5 movement and 4 damage.
There's a lot of potential here to kind of ramp up, especially with the nuanced stealth, where it's going to be hard to kind of control those characters.
It's super fun.
That's it for the Imperial set that have command. Now we're going to go over the cards that have Colossal, and these are actually creature minions, and they're actually I think some of my favorite minions that we've seen in the game so far.
The funny part is that these units all existed inside of the Joust revamp map that we did for Season 3, and when you see him there, you're just like, you're killing it trying to get the red buff, but in this game you're like, oh my god, look at that model.
And the first one up is going to be Oogway, not China Turtle like you had labeled for weeks. That's what you had him labeled as.
He was China Turtle for a little bit there, but so yes, Oogway here, he has Colossal and he gains +1/+1. He is a rare card. The big thing about Oogway is that, so when you look at Colossal and you're trying to figure out how to efficiently cost him, so he's going to gain +1/+1 at the start of his next turn. So when he no longer is exhausted, he will then be a 5/4.
And then the Stone Guardian going to be up next. Stone Guardian.
This is my favorite.
Is a free card. He's free too, so
he's
shout
free.
outs.
He's probably my favorite.
4 mana, 3/3 ranged with Colossal +1 range. So potentially we're looking at someone who can fire shots from one side of the board to the other.
Correct. So the entire purpose of the Stone Guardian was to have another ranged unit who actually couldn't take return damage from another ranged, right? So whenever when you have these archers inside of the game, right, and they fire and they take damage, I was like, you never want to give pardon to one because that's a little too much, but in the sense of gaining +1 range, it's really fun because you can kind of stick him up in the corner and just consistently poke the enemy leader.
And then the final creature minion coming into CB3 is the White Tiger.
Yep.
This is a free card as well. 2 mana, 1/2 with Colossal +0/+1.
God, he looks so good, doesn't he?
He's very useful too. I was playing with him a little bit.
Yeah, so the White Tiger, this is a card that, you're always going to put in your deck. He's going to really help out the mana curve, and you always want to make sure that if you can't, you want to aggressively mulligan to get him in your hand.
And then I think that's going to be it for the minions.
Those are our minions.
Those are the characters that are going to have the Colossal and the command passive.
Correct.
This is the first pass on the Chinese Pantheon, however, so there are going to be further updates to it later on.
Yep. Actually, in the next patch.
In the next, well, I wasn't going to spoil it.
Yeah, we flesh out the Chinese Pantheon in the next patch.
Okay, well, that's your job, not mine. I'm not going to be the one spoiling and getting yelled at by you.
Correct.
Chinese items are going to be up next, so there's actually 8 new item cards, 8 new Chinese item cards, along with the neutral card as well, which we'll go over at the end. The first up is going to be Celestial Guard. This is a rare 1 mana, and it gives a friendly immune to items and abilities. So immune introduced last patch, now getting a second look at it.
The big thing that we noticed inside of our testing was that a lot of our units with Colossal were just getting kind of gobbled up by so many removal spells. And so we were like, well, we have this immune keyword. Why don't we use it here? And so this, you can give it to any single unit, and it just completely makes them immune, and allows your Colossal to really trigger.
Up next is going to be Crescent Blade. This is a free card, 0 mana. Deal 1 damage to a non-leader enemy.
Yeah, so a lot of you are probably looking at this and being like, 0 mana for 1 damage to a non-leader? Do I really put that in my deck? And the entire point of the Crescent Blade is to synergize with your command. And there's going to be more units with command coming down the road. So the more low-cost spells that Chinese has an option with, the better off it's going to be.
And there's a fair number of them, too.
Correct.
Emperor's Prize going to be up next. This is a common 3 mana. Draw a card for every friendly on the board. So draw we see kind of in Smite Tactics, but not a lot of it.
Yeah, there's not a lot. So draw mechanics inside of Smite Tactics, is from what we found, is that, since we only have 20 cards inside of our deck, it's really hard to justify it. So with this card, I was like, well, these units in the Chinese Pantheon are going to be alive for a very long time, so let's give them something that rewards them for having more units on the board.
And then we have Evolve up next. This is another free card. This is going to be 4 mana that spawns a random friendly with Colossal. So any of the Colossal minions that we went over earlier, Oogway, the White Tiger, and Stone Guardian,
yes,
those all have a chance to be spawned from this.
Yeah, now the important thing here with Evolve is this is not from your deck. This is from the entire
extra
game.
Card.
This is an extra card. So if you were to Sentry Ward, if you're playing against Chinese and you Sentry Warded their Evolve, you would be able to play that Evolve card.
After that, we have Projection, which is a common. This is 3 mana. Select a friendly god or minion and deal its attack as direct damage to a non-leader enemy. So another form of removal coming into China.
Yeah, this is a pretty significant removal, especially when you think about how Colossal plays out. But for those of you wondering how exactly this works, you will play the item card. You will select a unit, and then you'll just be able to directly target whatever you want.
And then Jade Boon is a free card, 1 mana. Give a non-leader friendly Colossal +1/+0. So Colossal isn't going to be locked into just being
correct
on those minions.
Yeah, so you can give friendlies Colossal. Now, the important thing to note here with Jade Boon is that this card will stack on top of your current Colossal. So if your Colossal reads +1/+1 and you give it Jade Boon, it is now +2/+1.
Okay, I didn't know that. Now I know that. Oh my god, that's so much better than I thought it was.
You tested it.
Well, I didn't test that card. I tested most of them.
This is what I work with.
Manifold Blade. Common 1 mana, deal 1 damage, but this item gains +1 damage for every friendly with Colossal in play. So there's a lot of combination. Just going back to the Jade Boon we just talked about, you can give Colossal to other minions. You already have a Colossal out there.
Correct.
Manifold Blade's just going to be able to combo so well off that.
Yeah, we've always wanted to have a conditional item. Something that does a little bit lower damage, but you get rewarded for having more units out there. And again, that really ties into what Chinese is all about, which is getting units out there, making them get big and strong, or just using items. And so, the big thing with the Chinese Pantheon is that you can actually run a perfect combination of Colossal and Command, and it works out perfectly.
And then moving on, we do have Rushing Thunder. This is a rare 3 mana that deals 1 damage to all enemies. So very useful.
This is probably a card that the majority of everyone who's gone against Norse is like, can I please get something to deal with these Curse Hunters and Curse Warriors? Because, my God, I'm just getting steamrolled.
People are just going to play literally Chinese Pantheon to deal with all those Norse aggro decks.
As they should.
And then the final card in the Chinese Pantheon, there is a neutral one after this, is Transfusion. This is a common 2 mana. Set target non-leader's attack equal to its health. So again, those combinations where you're getting Colossal that's increasing your health, you're now going to be able to mirror that into the damage.
And so when we're going to go ahead and get into the gods, I believe, right after this, and there's going to be one god, you're going to be like, why would you do that? And then you're going to think back on Transfusion, and you're going to go, oh, I get it.
And the final card is Weakening Curse, I believe, which...
Yep. This is a neutral card,
This is a neutral card, not in the Chinese Pantheon, which is a common 1 mana and disarms an enemy until the start of your turn. And we didn't actually go over, but disarm is a new keyword in the Chinese Pantheon or with the release of the Chinese Pantheon as well.
Yes. So what disarm is going to do is disarm is going to allow you to still use your ability, but for units that just have a attack or if their cooldowns on their ability is still up, then what you are going to be able to do is play this card on there, and then that unit just straight up cannot attack.
Can still use abilities, though, correct?
Can still use abilities.
Okay, just no
Now,
basic
Purification
attacking.
will remove it. You have different avenues in there as well.
Okay, and then now it's time to get into the fun stuff. I think it's time for the gods that are coming into the Chinese Pantheon.
How did you order this? Who's up first?
I did it by alphabetical, just
because
because
it's not nearly as cool as I thought.
Easy. Okay, what do you want to switch it to?
No, it's fine. Let's just do it.
Because, I mean, the production's going to complain.
No, it's okay.
We can switch it up. It's fine.
Just do it.
Ao Kwang, get it on screen right now. Ao Kwang, he's going to be the one of the first gods we're going to go over here. He's an epic 5-mana, 4/5 with colossal +1 damage, and his ability is to teleport to a tile while leaving behind an illusion with taunt.
So the big thing here with Ao Kwang is there was a lot of ways that we could have designed this character, and when the easy one here was saying, okay, you know what, he comes out and he executes, but we have 3 Pantheons out there, and
please.
Thanatos already has execute. So it wasn't nearly as cool. So for us, what we wanted to do was say, you know what, Ao Kwang, you're gonna use your illusion because that's very unique in Smite, and instead you're just gonna taunt all the enemies around you. Now, this taunt illusion will actually explode if it's not killed, and it deals 1 damage to all adjacent enemies.
And it's important to note that the health on it is based on Ao Kwang's current health at the time of using that ability. We'll show him in game.
Yeah,
so
we'll show that later on. But it allows him to move away as well. So Ao Kwang can kind of get into the back lines, but more importantly, he can kind of stall units out in the center of the map.
Next up is going to be one of almost a half that we have to go over, Chang'e. Bei. So Bei's up on screen. Free 3-mana, 0/5 with the ability to heal adjacent friendlies for 2 health. And this is in adjunction, in addition to also healing, if Hou Yi is in play, this ability will also do 2 damage to adjacent enemies.
Yeah, so first things first, we will try to figure out a way to clean up that description as we go to make sure that it's nice and clear.
We'll figure it out.
So Chang'e, when we looked at her, we really needed a god to fill out the kind of early mana curve. And so with Chang'e and Hou Yi, we really wanted to have something play off between them. You get the sun and the moon, they're undying love for one another. So it just made sense to kind of capitalize that in Smite Tactics because you can't really do that in Smite. So the big thing here is that we made her an 05. Now, the reason we made her an 05 is that early on, since she has to be a combo with Hou Yi, she really wasn't all that useful early on. So we wanted to make her an 05, lose the attack, and then gave a card to kind of combo with her, which is Transfusion. So the majority of you are going to download this patch, put Chang'e on your deck, and then have Transfusion, and then you're going to have a 5/5 on turn 4.
Sounds like
sweet.
Fun. Hou Yi, also the card that's going to go combo with her. This is a epic 4-mana, 3/3 range.
Dude, he looks so good.
Deal 2 damage to an enemy and a random enemy adjacent to the target. If Chang'e is in play, hit an additional target.
Yes. So this is his Ricochet from Smite, but we had to reimagine it in here because it got a little weird when we were trying to mess around with, do I shoot it off the wall? And then is there really a concept of a wall and how that works? And so we removed all of that and we said, okay, you know what? It's going to hit a point and then it's going to pick another adjacent point from there. And then with Chang'e, it's just going to hit a 3rd point.
And then, and then so clear combo. Something to note, too, is that you need to have vision of those targets. So if someone's in a brush or if you're facing another Nuwa and they have stealthed a unit, those adjacent units won't get hit by Hou Yi's ability. And then the final god coming to the Chinese Pantheon, the first pass, is going to be Sun Wukong.
My favorite.
And this is something I know you've worked a long time on, Scott.
Yeah, this is Sun Wukong has always been one of my favorite gods inside of Smite. And, shout outs to my man Bart out there because, when I first came into Smite, Bart looked at me and he said, Sun Wukong is a god whose ultimate is a full god's kit, right? You remember Bart used to always talk about that?
Yeah.
And I was like...
Yes, I did.
And I said, okay, well, how... And that always stuck with me because it always made sense. So for this game, I was like, he's going to have something extremely unique that's basically a full nother kit. And so in order to do that, you have to select from an animal form here, which we'll go ahead and show you in game once we get to it. But basically, he can opt into his ability, and he has 3 cards that he can pull from that are all 0 mana costs that you can use immediately.
And I mean, just doing a quick run through, and then we could show it visually later. Eagle form triggers all friendlies colossal and doubles your movement. Ox form deals 2 damage to adjacent enemies. Attacks now knock back units 2 tiles.
And that's amazingly fun.
And then Tiger form gain 2 attack and can attack immediately. So a little bit kind of like Thor.
A little bit.
Who play with him.
A little bit like Thor.
And then before we show everything in game, we do have some balance to go over. So we'll quickly go through these.
God, there was a lot this patch.
There was a ton this patch. So first up is not going to be a card balance. It's actually a keyword balance, and that's divinity.
Yes.
This is now going to trigger when a god is used to heal another god already in play.
Yeah, when we kind of looked at the Greek pantheon, we sat there there and we said, you know, they don't really have a lot of that oomph that all the other Pantheons are having. So one of the ways that we looked at it first, and we're going to continue to address it as we move forward and we add more units in there, was, well, you know, there's so many times where you have an Athena out there and you want to just play another Athena on top of it because it's the best play that you could do, but you don't get rewarded for that if you have any units out there with Divinity. So we just basically erase that entire issue, and now when you play a god on top of a god and you heal them, it'll trigger Divinity.
Now into the card balance. The first one is going to be Fire Shards, and this has simply been renamed. This actually isn't balance. This has been renamed to Annihilation because we introduced new WoD to the game, and we're like, oh, hey, that's Fire Shards is her move. Why is it in the Egyptian Pantheon? It was one of those kind of like, man, didn't think that one through.
That was one of those ones where you've been under the hood for so long and you come out and you're like, oh my God. It's the wrong Pantheon.
We messed up. We messed up. Scott Gandhi messed up.
It still plays the exact same.
It's just identical.
It's a cooler name, though, to be fair.
Fire Shards is a pretty cool name.
It is.
But Annihilation's okay.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're going to see another Fire Shards back in the game, though?
They kind of got Rushing Thunder. Oh, dude, that's
a
miss.
You gotta
we
reuse
totally
this.
should have. That's a miss.
The patch hasn't been live yet. We still have time to change it. Maybe adjusting it live on the patch stats. All right, more balance, though. Don't want to keep you guys too long. Banish, the mana cost has been reduced from 4 to 3, so just a little bit more use out of that. Bull Demon King, this is a huge one, and I think there's a lot of combo decks that could come out of this one. His attack has been increased from 2 to 3, and this is the cleave damage, guys.
Yes. Yeah, this is the cleave. So when we first put out Bull Demon King, I looked at it and I said, oh my God, Austin, there is no way we can go live with this card and it be way too strong. And so we wanted to throw out a little bit more of a nerfed version to see how it performed. And, you know, some people put it in their decks, but it really wasn't bringing that oomph.
It was hard to get the use out of it.
And even when you think about the use cases, you have to invest 2 or sometimes even 3 cards in there. You have to do charge and then teleport, or charge and then blink to get this out there.
Don't tell people my strats. I literally just explained this to you.
You didn't. I've been doing that since the card was created.
Sure you were.
But point being is he's going to be a little bit more impactful when you throw him out there now.
Next up is Elder Harpy, and I think this could have a pretty big impact as well.
This is actually very important.
Movement increased from 2 to 3.
So the poor Elder Harpy, and for those of you guys who have been around since, you know, the beginning of alpha days, when you remember there was partying everywhere and everyone complained about it and they weren't sure how to deal with it. So the Elder Harpy, we kind of just hit back to back to back with nerfs, just, you know, because the perception of it was so strong, and even still, it was still just a naturally strong card. And so we dropped its health, and then we dropped its movement. Now we decided to bring the movement back there. So now when you play the Elder Harpy, you can actually get up there and it feel a little bit more impactful.
Next up, Fire Imp, another movement. This one has been reduced from 3 to 2, and I think this one, actually one of the more common cards we see in players' decks, so this could definitely change how people play.
Yeah, realistically, I wasn't a big fan, and I don't think the entire team wasn't too big of a fan of how the Fire Imp was playing, especially on the Greek map, where you play the Fire Imp, and then you can reveal units inside of the grass. It kind of took away that. So at least by reducing its movement by 1, you have to advance your leader a little bit closer to them and put yourself in a not so advantageous spot.
Next up, Geb, and this, he can now use his ability on himself because he couldn't before.
Yep, and this feels really good with all the combos inside of Egypt because his health goes up to 10. So you can kill like everything.
There we go. Kang's attack has increased from 4 to 5.
Yep.
This is a card we didn't see too much. This is the card, for those who don't know, that has immune ranged in his passive line.
So Kang was our first one that we've ever done anything with immune on. And when we did it, we said, okay, this was another lesson learned from us, is that when we threw this keyword out there, we were really afraid that it was going to be way too strong. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to make him just like a 4/4 for 5 and it'd be okay. So now we're giving him a little bit of love inside of the attack and see how it's going to play out. But so far in playtest, he seems to be just he gets added a little bit more.
A little bit more. And then the final balance change we have for you before we show everything in game is going to be Shell. The mana cost has been reduced from 2 to 1, so Shell not seeing a lot of play. It only lasts for 1 turn, giving shield 1 to your units, but now a little bit more, I think, incentivizing to play with.
Yeah, there's 2 kind of things when you look at Shell here, and it really kind of goes with the Chinese Pantheon, who's always going to love that because it's a low-cost card, and it works well with all their units who want to grow. But in addition to that, it's also Norse, right? Because when you throw shell on side of your units, now your 1/1s and your 2/1s can stay alive for a little bit longer.
Survive, especially if you're looking at, if you're facing off against another Norse deck that has those archers out, going to be able to reduce a lot of that damage.
Sure.
Now let's show off some cards in game here. We're going to get that set up in the back. First thing we'll look at is kind of Nuwa, how her leader ability works. We're going to take a look at all the gods as well.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite thing so far in this patch? Is it just Sun Wukong?
I think it's just the entire Chinese pantheon. Sun Wukong obviously was probably my favorite one to work on as a whole, but this was kind of the first time that myself and the SMITE Tactics team really kind of flexed our design muscles on this, especially Austin, who's actually controlling this camera. He added a lot into this patch, and it's been super awesome. So obviously, she's going to get a little bit bodied here by the Brontezes. They're perfectly in attack range, but you can see for 2 mana, she's just going to stealth herself. It's the exact same effect that you see when you go into Brush, so we're made sure that that was consistent.
And then here's, we're cheating right now. We have unlimited mana and infinite card draws, so we're just going to get a couple of these gods out here. You can see Ao Kuang has been played. Let's just kind of see his taunt ability used here. We can pass the turn. Yeah, so we'll just move Ao Kuang into there, and then ability away. And there is the taunt right there, 5 health.
So it's very similar to Blink. Now, obviously, if you're taunted, you cannot use your ability. That's just a standard rule. But as you can see, he has 5 health. So the big thing here is when he ends this turn, and the enemy now has their option to destroy it, and they need to, or they take 1 damage around there. So good crowd control. It also forces you to attack it just because that's taunt. And if you don't actually kill it, then you're penalized.
And you can also see Ao Kuang, he started off with 5 damage. Colossal has boosted him up to 6 since this year. We're going to see a little bit of the combo damage come out here. If Chang'e uses her ability now, it's going to heal no one. Let's actually just use it and show.
But since Hu Yi's out there, it's going to actually do 2 damage.
Oh, I lied.
So,
I forgot,
as you can see, it's going to be, it's extremely fun to get them out there. You have to invest 5 mana, 7. That's because Hu Yi's 4. That's how math works. That was 4
plus 3.
Terrible.
I just messed up and completely ignored him putting Hu Yi on the field, so it's okay right now.
So now you'll see his ability, and it'll be able to hit 2 units there. If they were adjacent to one another, if the 3 were adjacent, he would have hit 3 units.
Yeah, so let's just in-turn and pass it back real quick, and then we can use Hu Yi's ability in a couple turns when it's available again onto Poseidon, and it should hit all 3 of them because they're all adjacent.
I really want to just show off Sun Wukong. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get that turn back. Let's show off the... can you add card chart? Okay, or you can just do it the lazy way. We're
going to run out of card space soon.
Yeah, we are.
All right, here's Sun Wukong.
So this is very similar to how Forge works. So you're going to click on Sun Wukong, you're going to press 2, and you're going to be presented with 3 options here. The first one that we can do, since Ao Kuang's already in play, could be the Eagle here. So he has the ability to trigger Colossal if he wants, and he'll double his movement. Or he can go ahead and grab Tiger, and by grabbing Tiger, you gain +2 attack, and you can attack immediately. Now, the other 2 will exhaust you, and they are all permanent. This is important to note. Every single one of these effects are permanent. Now, the Ox will deal 2 damage to all adjacent enemies, and then your basic attacks knock back your opponents.
So I think they're set up actually now for Ox to be good as well.
Let's go ahead and show off Ox here.
And this is not, despite what it said, this does not add it to your hand. This is just an effect that is on Sun Wukong.
Yes, so this gets applied to him immediately. Once you select this card, it goes on to him, and that is it. You now have to deal with the beast. So you're probably going to want to move Chang'e because that's going to kill him. So yeah, you can just see now as we move Sun Wukong up and he hits, this also works on taunt as well. You're going to be able to knock taunters away. You're going to be able to knock anything away, knock people out of brush, you name it.
It's just like on her impale, up to 2 spaces. Doesn't stun though if you hit a wall.
Correct.
And if stuff is body blocked, they will not get knocked back. I think that's it for the gods. I think now we can just kind of showcase some of the Imperial sets and the creature sets coming out here, or maybe show off some of the cards.
Yeah, the big thing here to note as well, as you can kind of get an idea of how Colossal can really get out of control if you don't manage it, is go ahead and look at the homie Ao Kuang, right? He is an 11-5 right now. Now, granted, turns don't normally work this way.
No,
but
it's not pass back infinite mana.
If you got to be careful when you're going against Chinese and they have these Colossal units out there, you got to make sure you destroy them.
And then you can see, let's actually hover over the archer again real quick. You can see his is deal 1 damage to a random enemy. So let's actually play a spell card. We do have the Crescent Blade there on the right, or something else.
It's anything's fine. So
Bam.
we remove that, and so right now the effect happens instantly. You can see that it just hit Poseidon. We're going to be working on a special treatment where it kind of gets delayed a little bit so you can always see it. But that's how it works every single time. So if we play Jade Boon, go ahead and just play Jade Boon on side of Ho Yi. You can see it deals 1 damage immediately to the Brontes. So you're going to want to make sure that you always get your value out of it. And when you play him down, make sure that you have item cards to back it up.
And then let's just take a look at Uguay and White Tiger since they're already in your hand. Oh, you're blocked. You're blocked in. You
Move
blocked
it.
yourself in, Austin.
Show me Stone Guardian. I need my Stone Guardian.
Here's Uguay. Get him in play. We'll add... There's the White Tiger, and then the Stone Guardian going to be the last minion in the creature set that has Colossal on it. You can see Austin
You
cheating
forgot
there.
the I.
Come on. Stone
yep.
Guardian. And we got
There
it.
you go.
Magic.
So obviously this is all temp art, but you can see just how awesome he is. No, go ahead and hit end turn, and let's get this back. And now you can just click on him and see the range.
Yeah, he should be able to hit that first minion
yeah,
now.
he's able to hit the first minion here, which is up to 5. So if we do it one more time, if we end turn and then give it back, you'll see he's now able to hit Poseidon. So
All right, I'm running this card in every
downtown,
deck.
baby.
Every China deck is going to have the Stone Guardian. You
It's,
just give him 2 turns. You leave him alone for 2 turns.
2 turns.
And he is going to be nasty to deal with.
Yeah, he's going to be a lot of fun. But I love that. You know, at first, so one of the designers on Smite, Travis, who's been around for forever, when he saw this, he goes, does he throw the ball? And I was like, of course he throws the ball. Why would he not throw the ball?
He's got to throw it.
For a while, I was trying to get him to do like a Fred Flintstone kind of bowl animation. But Matt Broderick was kind of like, I don't think it's going to work. But I was like, but imagine if it did, huh?
Imagine. You could believe. Would it stop if something else is in the way?
No.
Hey, I'm just saying. First unit hit on a range character. Overstat it. Just saying. Future. Anyways, that was it for the CB3 patch notes, the release of the Chinese Pantheon. Patch is not coming out today, just to note.
No. It'll be, I'm not sure when. Maybe tomorrow?
Hopefully tomorrow.
Hopefully tomorrow?
Soon. Hopefully.
Soon-ish.
We'll let you guys know. Follow Smite Tactics on Twitter. The
Yes.
second we know when the patch is going to be releasing, the second we're confident with it, we will publicly announce it. So
Correct.
make sure to follow us on social media and figure all that out. Reminder for those of you who are not in the Smite Tactics beta right now, the Tactics Twitter gives out a ton of keys, or you can buy in with
That's
the Founders
almost an
Pack.
understatement.
It's it's been a lot. It's been, I think, over 8,000 keys given out
Yeah.
on that Twitter. But make sure to purchase the Smite Tactics Founders Pack if you want to get into the beta. Instant access, 15 core packs, 5 cards per pack. All the legendary leaders: Poseidon, Isis, Freya. Limited Founders icon, limited Founders card back, legendary card Inyo. There's just a long list, so make sure to check it out. There's also going to be 200 beta codes, I believe, releasing on Twitter sometime later today, so you can make sure to check that out.
Sweet.
And that's going to be it for us. Thank you for joining me on the patch notes, Scott Gandhi. It's been fun, as always. Make sure to stay tuned for further tactics updates.